No. Oh. I'm live streaming on. I'm now. I. Okay, bro. Okay. I. Wow, that's a good thumbnail. We had trouble saving your video. We're trying in 5 seconds. Aww. And I die. Chickle, chickle, chickle. I'm just waiting for an answer.
Are you going to sue Dogpack? Well, Mr. Beast is currently on a private jet on his way to where I live in Central Texas to have a conversation with me with the intention of addressing the controversy that he's been involved in over the last few months. And I think that it is important for me to document my intentions before embarking on this risky and difficult task. I am not Scott Pelley. I am not a hard-hitting genius investigative journalist. I'm a YouTuber with a medium-sized platform. I am currently doing journalism, to be fair, but I am goofy, all right? Also, back in August, I platformed Dogpack, and out of fairness, I feel that it is important to do the same for Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast has agreed to keep an open line of communication. He'll only be here for a little bit, which is crazy because he's flying halfway across the country. And he and his team have agreed to provide us with evidence and information to give proof to claims so we can actually be as transparent here as possible. The goal of this video is not for it to please everyone or gotcha somebody. It is for this video to be a meaningful source of information. So to future me and you currently viewing, I'm sure I missed some questions, but I absolutely did my best. And I stand behind the result, maybe. And I look forward to seeing the comments and criticism. Firstly, would you be willing to put your hand on this Bible and swear?
Oh my gosh, you actually have a Bible?
I have two Bibles.
Are you being serious?
I am being serious.
Okay.
I'm swearing. We're both from the South. This will be an honest video.
Oh, your laptop's blocking me.
Oh, well, this will be an honest video. You're a man from North Carolina. I'm from Virginia.
The Bible Belt.
The Bible Belt,
Yep.
Exactly.
I know
And
what
this means it's legit.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
I was not expecting that. Okay.
It's just like legal now.
It is. I can go to jail.
The first biggest question for me and a lot of people that I've spoken to over the last couple months is like, why were you so silent? Especially off the bat, like you did respond to the Ava Tyson stuff immediately, but like, you know, right after that, a bunch of other stuff came out and Dawson's video, his first video, gained a bunch of traction. What was your reasoning for being so silent immediately?
Yeah, it's a great question to kick it off on. You actually kind of laid out the timeline there. The Ava stuff came out, and I put out that tweet. We hired the investigators to go look into it, and part of that investigation is they recommended that I not talk about drama or really do anything online because it might influence, you know, witnesses or any people they might interview or ex-employees. So it's a little unfortunate because I told them, okay, I'll wait till the investigation is over. I believe that was literally like a week before the Dogpack video came out. And then, truthfully, just in transparency, I've never done one of these like big investigations before. And in my head, it was going to last like 2 or 3 weeks. It ended up taking a couple months. Mm-hmm. Apparently, combing through all the documents and doing all the interviews and everything just took way longer than I thought because I've never had to bring in a top tier law firm and a former federal prosecutor and let them, do this really big thing. And so that kind of concluded a couple weeks ago when I put out the tweet of the follow-up. Yeah. Like, that was the day I got the conclusion of it. And I was like, okay, in transparency, I'll throw this out. So up until that point, it was, I told Quinn Emanuel that, to protect the integrity, I wouldn't do anything or engage any of this drama. And then after that, yeah, like you said, a lot of stuff had come out between when the investigation started and when it ended. And I was just kind of like, whoa, I don't really know how to, like, hit this stuff. And I made like a little response video, but it's just kind of not my style, where I just kind of like put a lot of the information that I assume we're going to talk about here out, and it just felt weird. Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I've never been in a situation where people have thrown this much stuff at me, and I definitely could have handled it better. Like, I probably should have, like, the second I could have talked, like, I don't remember the exact date, 2 or 3 weeks ago when we put that report out, probably should have done something like this right then. If I could go back in time, I would. And yeah, that's kind of like the brain dump, and then here I am.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, you answered it towards the end, but like, do you regret that, obviously?
Yeah, if I could go back in time, I would do what we're doing here, because I assume this is like the correct format. It's going to be a little bit more free-flowing and natural, and I wouldn't have wasted so much time like trying to do a response. It's just not my thing. I like so much better, or I'm assuming, I mean, we just started, but I think I'm going to like so much better being asked the questions and answer instead of just like sitting in a chair like this, answering it. It just feels a little more natural.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean that definitely, that does line up obviously with what's happened, and it makes sense. And I definitely, I feel like, before talking to you, I definitely would imagine that you would regret have not making a response early.
Oh,
right?
100%.
Like that, because that you could have just immediately, if there was information to debunk Dogpack's official, his first video off the bat.
Yeah, which obviously had so much disinformation in it. If anyone saw Sagi's video or any of the newer videos now coming out, like you would see so much. Too, so much of it. So it's unfortunate that it happened on the back end of when I said I would not talk about or address drama and things. And I mean, there's obviously should have done this sooner. Whoops, but hey, better late than never.
Yeah. Did you think it would get this big?
No, I mean, truthfully, I thought, if you watch Sagi's video or any of these other videos that are coming out now showing all the discrepancies, I honestly thought a lot of people would find, the information proving the dishonesty earlier. Because a lot of this could have been, just figure out Google. A lot of this could, and now, I also have to be clear, I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I've never done anything wrong, and you can't criticize me. There are things I deserve criticism for. I'm sure we'll get to some of those things in here. But there are a lot of things that are just not true. And, on those things, we'll just get to it throughout this because I'm sure you're going to ask me the questions. But there's just a lot of disinformation that was easily proved wrong. The big one that, videos with tens of millions of views collectively, claiming I called a guy Delaware because he committed a crime in Delaware. That is not true. His name was just Delaware. I didn't, call him Delaware to make fun of him or anything. And, I'm sure you're going to ask about it later, but there's literally, he was in a video before I hired him, working at Best Buy, wearing a name tag that said Delaware. And, that was public information. And, anyone could have saw that. Even during when that was, getting shared a lot a couple months ago, I even sent that to a couple of YouTubers. I was like, hey, just so you know, I didn't call him Delaware because of this messed up thing. That was just his name, and here's proof. And I guess I probably shouldn't say the name of the creators, but one of them literally just said to me, well, it's not really cool to like you or defend you right now, so I don't really care whether or not it's true, or I don't want to take the video down because then people are going to think I'm controlled opposition. I was like, whoa. And then also, that same photo, are you going to throw some things on the screen for that?
Definitely.
Yeah, so throw it on the screen. That same photo, right after that second Dogpack video, started to get traction on Reddit and saying hey, this is a lie. Jimmy didn't call him Delaware to make fun of him, committing a crime in Delaware. That's just his name. And it got taken down by the mods on r/YouTube drama. And that's when I realized, anytime there's a post proving that I'm not evil, they were taking it down. So it was a little unfortunate too because I wasn't saying anything, and then on Reddit, anytime something was proving that I wasn't evil or contrarian to what everyone was saying, they were suppressing it or censoring it. Not sound extreme.
So you're saying it's like a echo chamber, which Reddit r/YouTube drama is.
Yeah, I know, but it's unfortunate when there's a post with 10,000 upvotes claiming something false about you, and then then a couple people are like, wait, that's not true. Here's proof. And then they delete it every time. So then everyone's like, okay, well then that must be true because they're also deleting the comments on that post that prove it's not. So then then it's just now, again, I'm not trying to sound extreme, but it's just you're censoring information. And then that paired with other YouTubers when I would call and share with them, they'd just be like, well, I don't want to be Mr. Beast Glazer, so I don't really. They wouldn't say it this direct, but they would just essentially say I don't really care if it's true or not. I'm just gonna say what other people say. Sorry.
Do you have evidence of people there being posts that existed and then didn't exist on Reddit that got?
Of course. Yeah, I can send you.
Yeah, if you send me anything.
You can throw it up on screen. I mean, that's not a conspiracy theory. That's
of course. Yeah.
Yeah. We can find quite a few.
I'm not that good at using Google. So
yeah.
I'll need you to help with that. Yeah, so to circle back to the Quinn Emanuel investigation, the big thing on the internet, on Twitter specifically, was that you found yourself to be innocent. Of course, you paid a law firm to find yourself innocent.
I saw those memes, yeah.
There's the big meme. How would you respond to the allegation that the investigation was biased from the start?
Yeah. So first off, to just set the foundation, I think a lot of people are saying, oh, of course, Jimmy did an internal investigation, found himself, they didn't find any wrongdoing, which is also not true, which I assume we'll go into that more later. They did find some wrongdoing, just not in regards to like the serious Ava allegation. So that's a, false truth. And then on top of that, it wasn't an internal investigation. It was an external investigation, which was clearly laid out in the things we showed.
Yeah, a third-party investigation.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, it is a little bit of a, like, a lot of people I saw were saying, like, well, you paid them. And it's like, well, yeah, well, top-tier lawyers and federal prosecutors don't work for free, so I have to pay them.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to debunk that one. I mean, it just is what it is. But, yeah, we hired Quinn Emanuel, which is one of the top law firms in the world. Like, I mean, it was very expensive, but I intentionally picked them because they have a reputation, and they're not just going to destroy their entire business to be biased towards me, you know what I mean? And then it was led by a former federal prosecutor who did the whole thing. I mean, it was pretty intense. I mean, they did tons of interviews. I mean, transparent. They even like scanned my phone, dug through. Like they have messages I sent to my girlfriend, and I'm like, why is this even relevant? They're like, I mean, if you want a thorough one and you want us to like be confident in what we're saying, we need to see everything. Like they went pretty hardcore on it, which is why it ended up taking a couple of months. Because truthfully, when I started this process, I didn't realize like how intense it was. But I gave them the reins to everything, and yeah, it took longer than I thought. But I don't know. I mean, is there any like how else do I prove it besides? I mean, I think another thing that missing context people don't have is like if they found anything illegal, they're obligated to report it to the police. Like this like that's how these things work when they do these investigations. It's not like they could be like, hey Jimmy, we found this illegal thing. We'll just sweep it under the rug.
But it's all right because you paid us.
Yeah, like so it's just in every way. I just don't think people understand. Like it's it was obviously Quinn Emanuel. That's why we paid them, and it was pretty thorough and.
Yeah. So I mean, those are two things that make sense, right? We just covered two back-to-back things that make sense. A, you waited a long time for the investigation. And B, you paid like a very reputable law firm, whatever, to investigate. Both of those things make sense logically from your perspective, but also optically from the outside looking in. For people who are just seeing the allegations, they're like, "Oh, this guy looks guilty."
Yeah.
He's building this big sort of law team, and he's not responding, and he's like it. So it's kind of. It's kind of bizarre and unfortunate because like it does make sense like from a logical perspective.
I mean, because there's two things I could do. I could do an internal investigation.
Yeah,
but that's
great idea
because I don't want to audit myself.
Let your mom do it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll let my mom do it, or I could do an external one. That's what we did, and again, it's like because I didn't have control over it. Obviously, if I did, I would have been like, bro, do this in 2 weeks so I can get this out there. Like I didn't want it to take months, but I mean that's part of an external investigation. I don't have control over it.
Now, would you consider? So you obviously regret the remaining silent. Would you consider that the third-party investigation as a whole, in looking back, would that have been? Would you say that's a mistake?
No, I just think I would push back on like, do I really have to be silent? Like, can I just like do this thing? Like go clap back on some of these things, but like some of these things, people were apparently talking to ex-employees or whatever, and so it just gets muddy because I really didn't want the integrity of the investigation to like, be in question or anything. So I was like super paranoid where I was like, okay, this is what they said. I don't want to push back or anything, but yeah, obviously in hindsight, like, I mean, a lot of these things that were just blatantly lies. Like if I just clap back instantly, people were just like, okay, cool, and moved on.
Would you consider making some details of the investigation that have yet to be seen public? Obviously, there's like a level of confidentiality that is required legally.
Exactly, yeah.
But like, is there anything?
Well, that's the thing. Like, what we put out as much as we could, but I mean, obviously they did dozens of interviews, including alleged people who were victims, and I mean, like I said, my message with my girlfriend, like they gathered a lot, so I don't really think I can. I mean, there's a lot of sensitive data and information in there.
What about like a just to back up your claims to their
but things on like how like they did it independently and they weren't biased, like that side. I mean. Yeah, I don't really know what people want to see, but yeah, I mean, you can figure it out.
Just from what I know about like retainer contract lawyers and working with third-party investigations, things like which I don't have any experience with anything that big, obviously.
Yeah.
But maintaining a level of compliance, like, I mean, if there's like a retainer contract, something showing that you shouldn't.
Now this is where I'm ignorant. Like I don't even know really what a retainer contract is, but
I mean, like
if there's any way I could, of course.
Like your third party saying, Jimmy, don't talk, like just basically giving credence to what you're saying, even more
gotcha.
so, more evidence of what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, that would be something I'd have to like go talk to the team on. But,
Yeah,
I mean,
that would help.
If
me.
that's something where people
Hello.
desperately want transparency, I mean,
Yeah.
we can figure something out.
What?
Yeah, that would just help me. I'm not sure if people, honestly, I don't know if people would give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I
like, because if people are like, we think Quinn Emanuel's biased, like even no matter what I show them, if they think a top tier law firm would willingly potentially tank their rep for me, like I don't know if there's anything that's
it's foolish, right?
Yeah,
it is foolish, and it makes sense. But once again, it's like optically, there is a very easy, lowest common denominator way to look at stuff.
Yeah. But also, what I would say to those people is I'm here, so it's not like I'm. Like, maybe that argument would work if I just never did anything, but I'm here, so.
In the lion's den.
Yes. Control the opposition towards me. Hey, also, I'd love to say, I don't know if he's posting this chronologically or not, but I mean, he also did interview Dogpack multiple times, so it's because I could have done this with anyone, but I think this one makes sense because you literally had the other side on here, so.
Yeah, and also, to be clear as well, I have not signed, like, an NDA or, I mean, there's genuinely nothing that's been signed. You haven't given me $1 million.
No. Hey, you should say I haven't given you a penny.
A penny, okay, yeah.
You gave me $9.99.
Nothing. You've given me nothing, bro. Yeah, it's actually just, it's kind of interesting. It really is interesting. This is a bold move, I would consider. It's quite a bold move.
And it's even more bold because I'm never vulnerable on camera and like.
Yeah, it's from a lot of perspectives. It is quite bold, and it's not like I haven't been critical. I feel like I've been fairly critical. I feel, and it's like talking to you, I feel bad. You know, obviously because I'm a person. There's different levels to how much you care about shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is. If there were a testament, it would be that would be a testament to this being being a meaningful source of information in this video. I feel like. I hope.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's definitely outside my comfort zone, but I think it's important.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so that's kind of past like the main initial allegations. We can move on to sort of corporate culture and HR practices. That's been a big sort of point that a lot of critics have hammered home.
Yep.
We're
getting right into the hard hitting stuff.
Hell yeah. So there have been a lot of questions about your workplace culture, such as a lack of diversity or also HR problems.
Yeah.
What, if anything, have you done to address these concerns? How have you handled it since information came out, and how do you plan on handling it in the future?
Okay, so I'll start off. We'll start with the diversity one. If I forget the HR one, just bring it up when I finish that one. Diversity, I have seen a lot of people mention that about our company, which, I mean, that one's just not even true. Like, I mean, Peaceables, for example, a couple months old, but like almost 70% of our company is women. And we actually, because we do dub studios around the world, now zooming out of Peaceables over to content, I mean, we actually have pretty crazy amount of diversity in our company. So, because, you know, we have 400 people that work for me. It's not just me and the voice on the camera, which is the 5 you see. So that one, the few people have claimed that, like, they don't have any data to back it up. So I guess I probably should have brought some data here. I don't want to just say percentages off the top of my head.
If you have, I'm sure you've got some kind of.
Yeah, but I really, that one, I just don't think it's rooted in anything. And then, what's the second part?
HR, yeah. How have you handled HR problems? What HR problems?
Oh, yeah. So that one, I mean, it's a little bit of a general question, but yeah, I mean, obviously, in general, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of things about, you know, HR stuff in my company. And I think one thing people don't have is just the context. Like, I think they think my channel is just like 5 people or 10 people or 20, whatever. Like, they don't realize the size of it. Like, specifically, because our videos have gotten so big, I mean, I'm going to give a little range, because depending on how many people we've hired in the last month, it's somewhere between like 250 or 300 people work at my production company, you know. So this is a big company. There's a lot of people, and then on top of that, when we do like bigger videos where we need to build big sets or whatever, sometimes we bring in hundreds of contractors. So there's a lot of people that work here, and like I just want to blanketly say, like, companies at this size, like, you know, you can't ever guarantee that every interaction everyone's going to have is always going to be positive with each other. You know what I mean? That's just impossible. So I want to start off by just saying that, because I don't want people to watch this and then like a year from now, like, hear some rumor and be like, oh, Jimmy didn't like any company of this size, there's always going to be some problem someone has. Now, having said that, I'm not trying to use it as like a blanket of like, see, and shield myself. There are two things that are like somewhat of in my position, who runs a company like this, is in control of. One is, making sure we're not fostering anything inappropriate and, allowing it. And then two, when it inevitably happens, because it just will in a company my size. And I'm trying to be transparent here. Like, it's, how do you respond to it? And then, and then making sure you're not fostering it. Part of Point Manual, when we had them do their investigation, is I had them look at every system in my company. I had them talk to my employees and see if there's anything they could bring to Point Manual's attention that they could make me aware of. And I think it was in the report. It's like we established an anonymous hotline, because Point Manual showed me data that sometimes people don't feel comfortable talking to HR or their boss, and if you have an anonymous hotline that goes to someone outside the company that can hear a complaint and then beam it into you without disclosing who it was, you'll get more honest feedback, because there's so they show us a lot of things like that. Also making sure we're not fostering it. I think it's also in there as well. We leveled up our C-suite, because I've had a lot of people that have grown with me, but like me, they've never ran a company that hasn't been there before. So I actually just hired a couple people who have worked on Fortune 500 companies who have actually ran companies. And so, they're showing me lots of things that I can do that obviously I'm just ignorant on, because I'm a YouTuber, you know what I mean? I spend my life staring at attention CTR, not how to structure. So just, that's phase one, is making sure you're not fostering, and like I said, you can't ever guarantee working with hundreds of people full time, and then when you add part time people, potentially over 1,000 sometimes, you just gotta make sure there are issues that, issues. Like if someone complains because someone peed on a toilet seat, I'm not, but if there's an actual serious issue, then, we'll bring in professionals who experience and, getting down to it, interview them, gather the information. I'll recuse myself. I don't want to be the arbiter of truth. And then, those experts who are experienced in handling those things, they'll tell me how to handle it. If they tell me to fire someone, I fire them. If they tell me to whatever, I'll do it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the one who makes these decisions. So, and transparency, that's kind of,
So I think this is one where a lot of YouTubers, people who have covered this type of thing, don't really understand that HR is a real living and breathing organism in business. And if you don't maintain it, it can become a problem for a normal business. But when your business is someone like you whose reputation is on the line. I also have a bunch of businesses. I've got 60 employees, and we have an HR department. And something happens once a month, where someone gets an anonymous report, and then we have to solve that problem, and we actually.
You're evil.
Yeah, that's that's how it feels sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm not involved, obviously, in that stuff. And
wanna scream at the top of my lungs, singing love songs by you. Your name's hidden in the lyrics, but I whisper it like, come on. I drive to your house, and it feels quite dark of the night. Caught when it's dark, but I give a couple tries. Thinking my back just to see you. I see you. With you is my garden. Flowers and trees speaking out like they have a confession to me.
It's a learning thing, but that's the thing. While I'm learning, I need to bring in people who have been there and learn from them.
yeah, so there's no best practice experience, right? It would be as smart as anybody, but if you haven't been able to go through the things you've gone through, like things just personally that I know that I've gone through and done for business, it's not possible. No, it's not possible to know how to react to those things, or that's why I sort of try to do my best to compartmentalize my business. Obviously, different beast than what you're operating, but it's just yeah. it's just it's difficult, and it does make sense, and just working through it a couple times. I'd be interested to see how changes are made after this, which we've already made a lot of changes. Like I said, the anonymous reporting is the biggest one for HR. That's up there.
And it's that's one of those things where, it's not like I was like, oh, we don't need. I just didn't know. I never seen the data they showed me, and like if any other people have this kind of stuff, like I'm always open to learning.
Of course, yeah, and I think the most important thing too is like at the end of the day, you've got the most to gain from all this.
Exactly. I want my employees happy. I need nothing out of them not being happy. Like it hurts me. It's like I have a monetarily incentivization to do this stuff.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I feel like the criticism of entities like yours and even mine, with truth, obviously, and like logic, and there's a real basis and rationale that makes sense that's centered in reality.
Yeah.
I feel like that's super important because once again, you have so much to gain, and like spend less, you make a little bit less money, but your employees are substantially happier and they feel, safer or just more confident in you as their leader or their boss. So it's like it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how all this kind of goes from here. I mean, this one especially.
Yes. I know. The interview, the day of the interview.
That makes sense though. I mean, and like I don't want to continuously interject my own business experience, but I think it does set me apart among YouTubers who are involved in this, and that I do have business experience. From it's sort of the same thing. I just fell into running actual businesses and had to do payroll and HR, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
I had no idea any of this stuff existed, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get fucked. Your mom was previously head of your HR department. And some people have criticized that as a conflict of interest. Did you personally, at the time, even consider that? And do you now also acknowledge that that is a conflict of interest?
Oh, I agree. That's a dumb thing to do. I do think context matters though, because like this is where a lot of these things that we're going to talk about is like people conflate current Mr. Beast with 400 employees and spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year with Mr. Beast when he's a teenager and starting. I mean, when I first started hiring people, it was like, oh, we went to high school together. You want to help me make videos? And I hired a couple of my friends from high school. So then I was like, how do I bring taxes? And I was like, Mom, help. And so, I mean, I wouldn't say she's head of HR. I mean, she was, I guess, but she was also running finance. And, it's not like a real company. I was like, we just get in this like little 700 to, actually that one was $1,080 a month office I was renting. And I'd just be like, to this one guy that I knew from high school, all right, today you're going to go paint this thing. Today, you friend number 2, you're going to help me edit this. Then you friend number 3, you're going to go to the store and buy 1,000 chickens that like scream when you press down on them. And Mom, I don't know, just make sure the IRS listens to me. Like that's the time frame we're talking about. But yes, I agree. Like it's stupid. Like you definitely should have your mom as an HR person. You just hire someone who was educated in HR, which obviously we have an HR team now. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think and that's sort of like one of the weird things from just a business perspective. Once again, it's like someone becomes an HR by default. Even if you don't say, well, this is the HR person, this is our contact.
I mean, because like back then, it's like, you got a problem, just tell me. It's like 5 of us. But yeah, but still, I'm like, in this, I'm not trying to like deflect everything. Like, I mean, yes, obviously, you should hire an actual HR person.
That's good advice. That sounds good. I do agree with that.
Shocker.
Yeah, great. The no doesn't mean no policy that was criticized. That was great. I mean, when I first saw that, I was like, what the fuck?
Well, you're answering for me. Okay.
I was criticized, especially by songs recently having been taken out of context. Can you explain what the notice of no policy was and why it was in the
Yes. So it's funny, even the word like policy. It's like when we